You're listening to the Wow podcast. I'm Jennifer Robin. This content is for informational purposes only, not medical advice. Full disclosure in the description. Today we're exploring the placebo effect and how to harness the power of our mind-body connection for healing. Tara Springett, psychotherapist and award-winning author, is here to share some tips to help us do that. Welcome, Tara.
Hi, Jennifer. Thank you for having me.
You researched the placebo effect as part of your book, The 7 Pillars of Health, and I know it's one of your 7 pillars, but what exactly is the placebo effect?
The placebo effect really means that when we believe that something will make us healthy, then we have a much higher likelihood that that will actually happen. And also we can take even prescription drugs and get fewer side effects. The medication works better. And that is a very well-known situation that the medical establishment knows. This is no esoteric discovery, even though in the end of the day, it seems to be quite esoteric. Because what is it really that makes us healthy? How can we maximize the placebo effect? Now, the placebo effect has a lot to do with what we believe. When we believe something will make us better, it doesn't matter, is it Western medicine or Qigong or Ayurveda or a sugar pill. If we believe they will help us, let's just say the chances that they will help us are higher because our body, our mind is doing part of the healing. So we need to find a way of inducing a deep belief in us that we will be healed.
Yeah, minimizing stress and maximizing our positive expectations does create the optimal environment for our own biology to do its job. And it would be great if we could harness even more of this self-healing power. The placebo effect is really just our mind-body connection in action. And it can work against us too if we're constantly thinking fearful thoughts around not being healed.
If you are afraid of a treatment, let's just say some people are afraid of prescription drugs. They don't want to go to a normal doctor and they say, I don't want to take this medication. I'm sure it will make me feel very bad. I will get all the side effects. And chances are they will get a lot of side effects or they'll get more than before. How can we reduce that?
Friends, what Tara is describing here is actually known in clinical research as the nocebo effect. It's the frustrating reality that negative expectations can cause us to experience actual physical side effects or increased pain. So how can we increase the likelihood that we're going to experience the placebo effect in a positive way? I've read studies where they're trying to see if a new medicine works, and they'll do a blind study where half the people get the actual pill and the other people get a sugar pill, and then they compare. And there's always people who took the fake drug, just the sugar pill, and experienced scientifically measurable benefits. I've also read many, many years ago about a fake knee surgery. Have you heard about this one?
Yeah, that's also in my book. Yeah.
Well, it is wild. It was about knee surgery, and some of the patients received the surgery and some of the patients didn't. And the ones who didn't get the surgery still had this little scar, and they went through the same recovery process, the recovery protocol, as the people who did get the surgery. And they were walking around like, I feel great and I'm back to normal. But they didn't have surgery. It was all in the mind because they expected the surgery to make them better. So, friends, when we say placebo effect, these are the kinds of things we're talking about. The question isn't whether the placebo effect exists. We know it does. The question is whether we can intentionally work with it instead of accidentally working against it. If you're going to go see an energy healer, maybe Reiki or a sound healer or whatever, your personal belief in the effectiveness of that modality can possibly make it work a little bit better for you.
it makes it a great deal better for us. So first of all, really understanding this, we should really always choose the modality for healing in which we believe most deeply. So if we're somebody who believes normal Western medicine, then we should go to a normal doctor and take the pills, whatever he or she says. If we are someone who says, oh no, I can't take prescription drugs, I need to go to a homeopathist. Well, as long as you don't have a life-threatening illness, you need to go to the homeopathist. That chances are you will get your healing there. And if you believe in Qigong, then you need to also go to a Qigong teacher and do what they are saying to you. Because whatever you believe gets the extra benefit of that this healing might work for you. Now, if we have a chronic disease, sometimes it's very hard to believe in any kind of medicine because we might have tried everything. Normal Western medicine, complementary medicine, and homeopathy, and what have you. And it all seemed to fail. And then it's very hard to have trust that we can get better.
Yeah. When you're dealing with chronic, long-term illness, just having belief feels impossible because your trust is broken, right? So, how do you bypass a mind that's tired of hoping? Well, we can actually use our imagination as a backdoor to healing, even when our conscious mind is skeptical. Tara, can you share your visualization technique with us that can help us to maximize the placebo effect?
The way we do that is by simply visualizing ourselves happy and healthy. So, what could that be? How does that look like? You close your eyes, you imagine you dancing through a flower meadow, and your painful knees are fine, your arthritis is gone, your pain is gone, you are slim and energetic, and your body is wonderful and flexible and can dance and skip. And you immerse yourself in this imagery. Now, the interesting thing is the mind doesn't know that you're just imagining this. For the mind, this is all the same thing. If you do this really in the real way, or if you just do it in the mind.
Right. When your conscious mind knows it's an exercise, mental imagery can still activate many of those same neural pathways that are involved in the actual experiences. And visualization may also help shift the nervous system out of a constant state of stress, which is another reason practices like this may feel supportive for some people.
So you give your mind a very powerful blueprint, what it should aim at, and says, that's what we want to do. So if we immerse ourselves in these types of visualizations, and you don't have to visualize very clearly, that's just a word, you just imagine it. And at some point you forget that you do an exercise and you just spend however long you do this exercise, 15 minutes, then you have been basically healthy. You've given your body the sign, the blueprint to what it should aim for. And then the likelihood that you get healthier and better is much higher because you have given yourself the information. I am well. I'm fine. There's nothing to fix.
Friends, if you'd like to try your own version of this, here's what you can do. Find a quiet spot where you won't be interrupted. Silence your phone and get comfortable, sitting or lying down, whatever feels natural for you. Then close your eyes and think about what your life would look like if you weren't experiencing whatever your current symptoms are. What would you be doing? How would you be feeling? And don't just think it, try to actually feel it. What does it feel like to move without pain or wake up with energy or breathe more easily? Let yourself experience that with your imagination. Stay with it for 10 to 15 minutes if you can, and try to do it daily, especially if you're dealing with something that's ongoing. And this isn't just wishful thinking. There's real research on mental imagery changing how the brain processes pain. Researchers think that when you're doing visualizations like this, you're actually activating many of the same brain networks involved in actual movement emotion, and pain processing. Athletes have used visualization for decades to improve their performance, and similar techniques are now being studied for chronic pain and rehab. I'll link a couple studies in the show notes in case you want to dig in.
Now, somebody might now say, but isn't that unrealistic? Don't you nurture some wrong fantasies? Not really. We are aware we're doing an exercise here. We're doing an exercise to increase the placebo effect. But while we're doing the exercise, hopefully we forget about it. But once we've finished, then of course we also realize, and now it's time to take this medication or do this type of thing, what my doctor told me. And of course we should carry on doing this. But hopefully we will be improving much faster than expected.
Friends, one thing I want to point out here is that the placebo effect isn't about pretending that the illness doesn't exist. It's about recognizing that our expectations, stress levels, emotions, and beliefs influence how our brain and body respond to treatment. The goal is definitely not to replace medical care. It's to create the most supportive mental environment possible while you're receiving professional medical care. Research on expectancy, stress, and recovery suggests that when we feel hopeful instead of helpless, our nervous system, our hormones, and even our perception of pain can change. And that doesn't mean positive thinking cures disease, but it does suggest that our mental state might influence how we experience our treatment and our recovery.
Now, there's other things that we also need to do to increase the placebo effect, and that is to watch how we speak about our illnesses. This is very important. For example, if I say, my headaches are killing me. Now, what information are we giving to our body? Not such a good one, right?
Yeah, that's not what you want to feed your mind. One, you're owning it by saying my, and then two, it's killing you. Hello.
I recommend to say, I had some pain this morning, and not just my headache, as if this is my possession that is now forever with me. And we should really avoid this exaggeration of saying it's killing me and my knees are shot,
Yeah, that's a common one. I hear that all the time. My knees are shot.
Somebody took a gun out and shot my knees. So these are quite negative words and images that we use. And obviously, I understand that. I've had patches in my life where I had chronic disease, and you're angry about it, and you want to say it in some way. You want to let off some steam, and you say, my so-and-so is driving me mad. That's another one, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, sometimes we need to let off steam, and we need to moan. And, I'm not saying we need to try very, very hard to be positive all the time, but we can try to not exaggerate. And we can try to not say, this is mine,
Yes, absolutely. Friends, notice Tara isn't suggesting toxic positivity or pretending that you aren't suffering. She's talking about the language we repeat dozens of times a day. If our brain is constantly hearing, my broken back or my terrible knees, it's worth asking whether these words are helping us heal or just reinforcing an identity around the illness. A helpful thing to think about and journal about would be, how have I been describing my symptoms? And then create some rewording ideas that get rid of any ownership or exaggeration. And I have a challenge for you too. For the next few days, track how many times you mention your body or symptoms with words like my, or I have a bad back, or my so and so is killing me. And I think you're going to be very surprised. Tara's book, The 7 Pillars of Health, explores how emotions, mindset, and the placebo effect shape recovery and how to combine nutrition, qigong, and inner calm for health. You can learn more at taraspringett.com. However much of a role the placebo effect plays, one thing is clear. Our thoughts, expectations, and words aren't separate from our physical experience. They're part of it. This week, try Tara's visualization exercise. Notice how you talk to your body and see whether anything begins to shift. Tara, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thanks for watching. Let me know what your biggest takeaway was. Just drop it in the comments and don't forget to subscribe for more.